But yeah, so I think, does that sort of get towards the thing you're asking after about?
Yeah, what I was feeling there, or what your thoughts might be on the deeper kind of currents of the things these games are operating on. Not necessarily out of like authorial intent, but just as products made.
Yeah.
Within the society, culture.
I think, and this is something I talked about in my famously never published, should have published it chapter from my thesis, my honors thesis at Bard, is that like video games, part of the reason video games cultivate a uniquely toxic body of fans, or at least used to before that became just sort of the norm of what fans look like. Is that there's literally mechanically no way to engage with them outside of that sort of A-B, like rational outcome, like limited choice spectrum, right? You only have the choices of the people who built the game put into the game. And you don't have, there's no alternative there.
Yeah, I think when we've talked Mass Effect, this is something that's come up as far as like the morality you're acting on being the morality of the writer of Mass Effect.
Yeah, there just is no other option, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a little bit they're uniquely suited to kind of replicate the worst impulses, the sort of anti-revolutionary, anti-action, anti-agential politics, because
especially like reifying like individualist hero narratives, which is what a lot of
even outside of the narrative question, right? It's just a question of form, right? Like for sure the content of them replicates a lot of conservative ideals, but I would sort of argue that the content of them is largely that way because of what the form itself is. That like the way video games work as art objects is designed to sort of, or is like incapable of avoiding the core animating impulse of anti-choice, anti-agential ethics and politics, and sort of known sameness that sort of, I won't say typifies, but like defines the perspective of that political position.
Creates norms, or like in reinforcing norms, but also this is the standard. I think about like when Gone Home first came around, and like, you know, the Gamergate term of walking simulator was applied to it because it was outside the norms of what like a video game was supposed to be or operate as.
Yeah. Exactly.
Something I'm going to be doing as we play more games on this stream is point out how much that's just not the case, and that the walking simulator is something that's been a feature of video games forever.
Yeah, I mean, I'll try it again because
Wizard World Live, Silent Hill 2 is a walking simulator. The original. I don't know what the remake is like, but I might do a little comparative play at some point just to check that out.
But yeah, I do think that like, so I mean, another thing about that, right, with video games, even the walking simulators, is that like,
I do think there's something weird in Doom Eternal as well, being just like at odds with like the typical function of a first-person shooter, but back to walking simulators.
Yeah, well, I mean, not just walking simulators, but like all games, right? There's just a strict one-to-one in terms of, or there should be a strict one-to-one in terms of, you press the button to do the thing and then the thing happens, right? Mm-hmm. There's like a strict cause and effect, and the limits of what you can do are prescribed by the design of the game. There's no, I mean, obviously things like modding and like hacking into games complicates this, but
right.
not really on the metaphorical level because we're comparing it to like a political arrangement. Like that's the thing, right? You have to break the system apart to be able to do things outside of the system. That is classic sort of political antagonism.
Even in the Doom WADs we've been playing, it's like they still are built in a language crafted by like what the Doom engine can do and what the communities come to a consensus as like doing good things with the Doom engine is.
Right, yeah.
Oh crap, you're getting just ganged up on there. Weird angle. There you go.
Now I'm on the right side of history. By history I mean this large thing. But yeah, I think that games sort of necessarily, you know, as much as I love them, which is a lot, do...
I think that guy's R2'd up, yeah.
By default, create the material conditions for a very specific ideological arrangement
I think
that is like inherently conservative and like... It makes sense why people who are sort of locked into that perspective.
Get ready to do a QTE. R1 minute. I think it sells people into believing they have a placement in a meritocracy that doesn't quite exist or isn't quite real or is like assumed, but not necessarily spoken or enforced. But like, well, I'm good at the video game. I beat the thing. I must be smart.
There's that part for sure. But I'll also say that it prioritizes a kind of epistemic principle, an epistemic priority of limits, right? That limits exist and they're knowable and they're mission critical and that you sort of have to follow them and you have to care about them.
Yeah, I'm trying to think now of like, I know I've done this before where I've not acted on some things in realities or been more timid than maybe I would be if I weren't such a like objective driven gamer boy teen in my early 20s.
Yeah.
The bad aspects of like gamer brain socialization, of which there are many.
Yeah, I think that's exactly.
I mean, I guess I also see it in the spillover into like the appification and gigification of everything and like the rise of like a hustle culture mindset where a lot of the language used to describe like work culture is language I see as like from video games, from World of Warcraft, from MMOs.
Right, I mean we're optimizing, we're power building, we're leveling.
Unlocking perks when I use my credit card to spend on things, yes.
This is bad.
I was like, what's the challenge? You're losing health, got it.
Yeah.
Do you get health? Do enemies drop health?
I'm not sure.
Life's a game and it's pay to win. Yes, Wizworld, yes.
But see, this is my, I guess my fundamental argument is that life's decidedly not a game.
Right.
But that gaming as a hobby, I guess, or as an epistemic space encourages one to think that way, and when one thinks that way, it creates insane limits on how one can engage with life.
It reminds me of like this sort of revelation I had in relation to Soulsborne games where, you know, when you first play them and you realize like, okay, yes, like I'm smart enough to like do all the reading, find the right stuff, do my min-maxing and like overcome these challenges. And if you stop there, you might translate out into real life as like, okay, I can just min-max my way through anything in life as an individualist conqueror. But then the more you think about it and the more you realize, well, the reason that works within Dark Souls is because Dark Souls is providing you the exact conditions by which every problem has a solution.
Right.
Right.
And it's thinking of the world in those terms is like sort of the core problem here, right?
Right, right.
That was the whole, you know, again, never published it, really should have, oh well, too late. Gamergate thing was that the idea was that Gamergate was going to happen. This was before Gamergate, just slightly. Was that thing like Gamergate was inevitable?
Yes.
Because, what's up to Hamels Mammal? I think like Gamergate was inevitable because the way gaming encourages you to think and codifies causal rationality and boundaries, I guess. Encourages a perspective of normalizing rules and tendency, right?
I also felt there was going to be a weird kind of explosion because console gaming and PC gaming were on a crash course of two different types of histories or accounts of gaming. Like when Microsoft dropped the Xbox 360, there seemed to be a huge push towards a frat broification of console gaming. That up until that point had been mostly the realm of PC gaming, like first-person shooters and tournament play and online multiplayer. The way Xbox Live brought that to a new generation of teenagers, it brought with it too a new conception of what gaming and gaming culture was. I grew up with a lot of PS1, PSX era horror RPGs, kind of novelty stuff. I was extremely surprised in the 360 era when Oblivion was a mega seller among just everyone, and I don't know. I felt that there was a weird kind of American overriding of gaming history going on when stuff like BioShock was being critically written about as the first artistically considered piece of gaming. It's well, no, the Japanese and other nations have been doing this stuff, and even American PC gaming, which was not as big as the new console stuff. There's a history there. But I don't know, it's in seeing that newly constructed kind of market-driven culture with this older kind of...
Yeah, but Wiz is right to point out, there was some frattiness to the console, the frat...
There was. Definitely remember, Penny Arcade... Look up Penny Arcade's Paris Hilton comic, where they just hate her for no real reason. That kind of toxic shit was around, yes.
But as Wiz says, I think correctly... That was also always part of it, because there was always Madden dudes.
Yes.
Yeah, Penny Arcade has not aged well.
No. It's if anything more interesting to me now, because I wasn't super huge into it, but then going back now and seeing just the shit dude gamer takes, it's oh yeah, what the hell was that? Speaking of, we watched Dante's Inferno 2007, the paper puppet.
Oh, that was fun.
That one's really fun. Also, there's so much just riffing on the Bush administration. It was a really nostalgic time in a sense because of that.
Yeah.
But I need to focus on this challenge.
Yeah. I didn't realize they're radicalized leftists now, Wiz. That's very funny.
Oh, Penny Arcade?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're doing current day, so interesting to hear. Give me health. Cool.
Did it. You earned a trophy, indigestion.
Turned out kind of okay.
That is interesting.
I was I haven't done anything horrible, so that's cool. Okay.
Well, it sounds like you got a buddy somewhere.
Yeah, let me know. Should I have maybe...
I think keep going.
Oh.
Extremely jock-coded gaming Wiz.
Wow, yeah.
But yeah.
The frat bros of Hobbiton.
It's more, I think, my thing is, again, less about the actual content of the games or even the conversations around them.
Uh-huh.
And more that, when you imagine the world as abiding by a set of rules, and that like those rules are knowable, then you assume a sort of consistency in stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But what happened with Gamergate, and I would argue what made Gamergate inevitable. Maybe try backtracking, see if there's something you can climb on that wall to find that person who's talking.
But yeah, my
what
general...
made it inevitable is like that if you have people who think that way, right, which ostensibly you did at the time.
Yes.
Then, or which like we all sort of know you did at the time, then it's no surprise that as sort of voices and styles and perspectives that aren't theirs increasingly become a part of the mix of... Can you go up?
Nah.
Damn, did we just miss that one somehow?
I'm wondering if maybe I should have been on top of the thing as it fell, but...
I don't know where we're taking you, though.
I don't know, yeah. I do like these fast climb mechanics.
Like, inevitably, they would have had that reaction because they're being confronted with difference, right? And the thing that way of thinking cannot abide is difference, because once you start introducing variables and styles that are distinct from the baseline thing, then... Oh, this is the Vizier section.
Evil counsel.
The scheming Vizier, circle of hell.
Father.
Hell yeah, Hamill's mammal, continue cleansing. Oh, that's easy for me. I'd never block.
Yeah, I think I'm a bigger... Like, I do like using the counter. Oh, it's
these
the
are the guys
spinning
who
guys
do
that
want
you
to
do
block.
want to do the counter on.
That's smart. That's good game design. But,
I do like these little skill checks. I assume, like, we're getting near the end. This is kind of like...
we have to be. We're, like, towards the end of the Malabulgia. There's only one circle after this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, you know, that it was like inevitable that those people were going to have the kind of freak out that they had, because increasingly their sense of knowing what gaming is, as constructed as it was or not, was coming under threat, which sort of means that the system was not working as intended, the game was not working as intended, the input-output was not producing as intended.
When E3 announced they stopped doing booth babes?
Yes.
Yeah. Very reflective of what you're getting at here.
I think that was the same year. I think that was part of the essay.
Was that tied in with like the Zoe Quinn stuff?
The what?
The Zoe Quinn stuff for Gamergate?
Yeah, I think the Booth Babes thing came first.
Yeah.
I think the Booth Babes thing happened in like early 2013 or late 2012.
Oh, I didn't want to say it happened before 2010, but I just may be misremembering.
Maybe I'm misremembering it. But it happened early enough that I was able to write about it in a thesis that I put out in 2013. Nice. Really should try to dig up those pages. There's some good stuff in there. But yeah, this is like my great academic regret is I didn't try to publish it because it was right. It was like the rare philosophy thing that was like correctly predicted some stuff. Which, you know, basically never happens.
Just describes.
Yeah.
Theorists up until now have only described it, yeah. Described gaming. Lux was going to change it.
I did write a thesis in 2013, and then never again. I decided not to go to grad school, and instead, I don't know, whatever. But yeah, the great regret of not having put that out when it could have been a pretty cool thing to have out in the world, but it doesn't matter. What does matter is the core idea, which is this thing that I think we're getting at, this idea, this like hyper fixed borders and fixed striated pathways of choice and behavior.
Gaming as dictating norms.
And that people want that because of how liberating it is to sort of...
Well, you deserve to be homeless because your Uber rating's 1 star.
Yeah, exactly. Right, that there is a system of rules and norms that they can follow and then not have to confront the ethical problems of the positions they take.
Right.
Or
because they didn't vote for Kamala, they deserve that to happen.
Right, or even, you know, the even more grotesquely deterministic of like, well,
Resetting the hit
Oh,
counter.
hell
I have
yeah.
to kill them all in a single combo. Got it.
Or like the even more deterministic and distressing version of, well, you live in a red state, so whatever happens to you, you deserve it.
Right.
Is, you know, that's all from that same stuff, that impulse to sort of have a set of rules and norms and diktats that you can just like point to, and you you plug in the situation to your little ethics machine, and the ethics machine outputs a thing. And I think people like that quite a lot because it makes life very easy.
Offloads the ethics.
It offloads the mental labor, right? And people don't like to do mental labor. They hate it so much. Oh, crud.
Dang.
I tried to load up as triangle, that was a mistake.
I do think art, you know, for the debates over what is and isn't useful in it. Oh yeah, use the cross to continue attacks. It's one of those things that like, oh, I failed instantly.
My turn. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was going to talk about art as a tool for recognizing, like, just like how and where in the structure you're getting your dictates from, or your sense of like ideology. You know, I talk about how I don't think art necessarily will end a war, but it lets us like talk about war after it's happened.
Right, well, and also,
But it also allows us to practice like being put in places of like uncomfortable, like mental duress or emotional duress in ways that aren't physically harmful.
yeah, absolutely. And it also, like, how often do you hear people talk about or see in their own life pieces of art that make you go, oh, I didn't even realize that you could do that. Right? That, like, that realization that a thing is possible.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, art creates lines of flight by articulating possibility.
Damn. Articulating possibility is a good way to put it. Artifice through which we mediate ideas.
Yeah. Oh man, speak on that.
Yeah, ignorance to understanding reactionary. It's just what they don't know. Yeah, I can see.
Well, it's also the design. I think it's, if I had to guess, or if I were to put a Lux spin on, a Lux gloss on that, it would be like, it's the desire to, it's the necessity of not knowing, right? That they have to not know.
That keeps the comfort going.
Yeah, because if you know, then at a certain point you do have a moral injunction to do stuff. That, or you have to continue to like accumulate increasingly fabulous excuses for why you're not taking action or not engaging with things directly.
Right, and this is like a huge part of Paradise Lost too, is like God being like, well, like man has to be able to know and make his own choices, because then how will I know faith is sincere if not made in earnest with like all cards on the table?
Right, and this is, oh, beans.
Damn, you're doing great.
And this is also Dante, right? Like the first circle is the people who could have acted but didn't, even though they should have known better, who passed on, who shut up, who passed on the option of utilizing their wonderful human knowledge, right? And acted against it and didn't make use of the gift of reason, because reason is, morals are downstream from reason, because you can reason your way to moral action. Whether you agree with that particular claim about reason and morality or not, like that is the thing that I think is critical to the ignorance element of the conservative project, the reactionary project. Is like you have to not know stuff. I just hit a guy. All right, well, guess not. You have to not know stuff, because the more you know, the more you are impelled by reason to act.
Or you do your own research.
Right. Well, that's the thing is I think a lot of the doing your own research is
Just not knowing.
a cottage industry for finding false reason to not, to deny the demand for action, right? Like, how much do your own research shit ends up as, here's the real truth of the world, and the real truth of the world is X, Y, Z, and somehow that liberates you from, right, or you have ChatGPT do it, but either way, it liberates you from your position as an actor in the equation of knowledge and of conceptualization. Oh, that was a really good one.
Oh yeah, just farm all decision-making faculties out. I'm just the me bag. The machine's more me than me.
Yeah, well, and I'm not Yeah, well, exactly.
Sublime experience.
It's a fundamental denial of the sublime for sure, man, because it's like, instead of risking the possibility of truth sort of resituating or challenging or removing from you, your preconceived notions and forcing you to reconcile with that stuff or compel you to ethical action, they just deny the possibility of truth by avoiding it, by farming it out to ChatGPT or, getting knocked down will kill you. ChatGPT or YouTube or TikTok or whatever.
That reminds me of like the first time, I think St. Joshi wrote an intro to a Dunsany collection I have describing sublime as the feeling of like going into a space of, you can't tell if it's fearful or exciting what you're experiencing, but you're in a zone of like new possibility for like emotional range. And talking about how Dunsany stories did that for him because they weren't these Tolkien-esque good versus evil fantasies. They were something weirder.
Yeah, right. Well, and that's exactly, to go back to the thing we were saying before, is like, that's that thing of like, I didn't know you could do that with art, right?
Yes.
Like the articulation of possibility. And the reactionary impulse in general, and I think the game of reactionary impulse in particular, is...
What do you mean there's other tools? Everything's a nail. I am a hammer.
Is to deny deny that articulation of possibility, because the more possibilities there are, the more sort of reckoning with possibility that has to happen, which they like very explicitly do not want to do. Right? I mean, think about, not to be reductive, but like think about the conversation on transness that exists in the world, is very like, well, how am I supposed to keep track of all these dang genders?
Yeah.
Right? Like, the idea that there would have to be moral and interpersonal considerations that go beyond the stuff they're doing already is like unacceptable. You took too long to turn.
Yep.
It's hard because the camera zooms in such a way that it's hard to know where the next guy is sometimes.
That's why I've been using the cross, because it kind of auto locks.
Yeah.
And it keeps the combo going.
But like the idea that like, yeah, exactly. Like you have to, once you've built, I mean, yeah, whether it's a come to Jesus moment or whatever, once you've built a moral or social system of interpersonal interaction, as soon as a new one presents itself, you kind of can't accept it because it would mean restructuring.
That's a lot of work to do, yeah.
Or redoing your prior one. It would mean re-examining your Bayesian priors, as they say, a thing no one likes to do. No one's ever re-examining their priors. Everyone hates doing that.
Nice, yeah. Nice. Keep going.
No!
Oh, okay.
But yeah, people are locked into their priors and reorganizing their... Yeah, I mean... Wiz, that is an unfortunate
What's
but
saying?
I think accurate assessment. Well, see, that's the thing is it is if you're scared of it, but sorry, I started talking to then started talking to Elman. Elman, it is if you're scared of it, but that's the thing, right? That's going back to the Beauvoir and Sartre stuff that we were talking about earlier. Is that like
I do. Go ahead.
Freedom is scary, or is internet okay? There we go. Freedom is scary, and people don't want to have that fear or deal with that fear or deal with the threats they're in. And so you're totally right. They frame it as it's, the cost is so high internally because instead of doing that, you could simply continue the thing that the cross thing, Crombo killed me.
I do wonder too about the literal cost, the material cost. Like if you're stuck in a situation economically where you have to delude yourself or you have to continue operating under a certain ideology unless you're going to go broke, bankrupt, or insane, how much that affects the ability to re-examine and shift who you are, what your priors are.
Yeah, that's like a difficult ask, like, yeah, exactly. Freedom, no thanks, I'm full. I'm actually doing okay with this not having sort of any personal agency. It's actually a lot easier for me, and I'm loving the comfort. I mean, like, how much, obviously you mentioned ChatGPT already, but like, how much modern technology is about sort of just deactivating the necessity of choice?
We can get this.
Oh yeah, we've gotten very close a couple times. But like, yeah, how much of it is like just, don't worry, our recommendation algorithm will tell you exactly what sandwich to have.
Feed your dog grapes.
Yeah, well, not just bad information, but like, what did I, okay.
Yeah, so what was your escape from the cave becomes your foundation for a new one.
Yeah, I mean,
There's always more cave to escape from.
I mean, to a certain degree, right, the reevaluation of priors and stuff is like an endlessly recursive project. Like, because there's no...
I do think this feeds into child phobia stuff too, because like the way a kid will question things will break the face of like what an adult assumes about the world.
Yeah. But yeah, I think right, Wiz, that is such a perfect example. Yeah, it is.
Thought what ChatGPT told me.
It is what Deleuze would call, Elman, a process of becoming, right? Like,
yes,
things are always becoming, and so the problem is that beans. It is one of the many God is dead interpretations out there, and Lord knows there's way too many of them. Sorry, Burns texted me and I kind of lost track. Like, talking about Deleuze. What was I just doing?
Becoming oneself.
Yeah. Burns. That's right, to Hamill's Mammal, the big man himself.
Mr. Burns.
Yeah, that like one of the many God is dead interpretations is this idea that one of the ways in which people killed God, or one of the metaphors of God being dead, is that God is made perfect, right? Like the mythology presents God's a perfect being, but perfect beings don't change, and being alive, to be alive is to change. And people want to have their ideas cast in stone and be unchanging, dead things, as opposed to living, breathing concepts. And so there's no surprise that people who live and think that way have weird reactionary negative politics, because they want everything around them to be dead and stuck in place.
No change, we maintain the same face. Uh-oh.
You're a sad, false shallow.
I mean, shelved by genre, my favorite literature podcast.
Very good show.
Hell yeah, great job, Daniel Zamel.
We love our podcast here.
My favorite lit podcast, Shelled by Genre, is starting an Alan Moore unit.
Yeah, I saw they're doing V for Vendetta.
It's really good.
I did the Book of the New Sun read along. That was very rewarding.
Yeah. But like the V for Vendetta does a lot of this stuff, right? Like this is the whole, I don't think the political imaginary of V for Vendetta is spotless.
Yeah. No, what you've been talking about with like self-becoming does strike me as like a lot of like my takeaway from anarchism as a teen learned through Alan Moore's writing.
Yeah, I mean, if I don't know how recently people in the chat have read the book, but there's a part of it that's very good where V shows. Oh, he just blocked both of them. That sucks. Where V shows Evie a magic trick, and the magic trick is like there's a cage with a bunny in it. He takes the cloth off. The bunny disappears. He puts the cloth back on. He pulls it off, and then the bunny's back, but the cage is gone. But the bunny stays still. And the idea, right, is that the bunny doesn't understand that it can leave, because the idea of leaving and of freedom outside of the structures around it never occurred, like doesn't occur to it. Like it doesn't have that, that's not part of the world as it conceives of it. And that's sort of the same thing with this sort of, and then there's a million other examples of that idea throughout, but that's sort of the same sort of thing we're talking about, where it is better and more comfortable and easier to maintain your priors and to keep, your original cave rather than escaping to a new one and then a new one and then a new one over and over again. And it's much more comfortable to do that. And so people choose that more comfortable approach because that more comfortable approach doesn't make the same demands of them as a more difficult thing. Beans. Thought I had that one. As the more rigorous living mentality of constant growth and change. Yeah, that's right, Daniel Zamel. Sometimes when I mess up, I say beans.
That was proving effective, though. That does get at the Alan Moore sense of anarchism I was talking about too, where if you don't know what the philosophy or the idea is, you can get this very right-wing explanation told you through like pop culture media. It's like, oh, anarchism's like there's no state, it's complete anarchy, everything's scary. But I don't know, at least from the works of what Alan Moore's written and what I've read by him and kind of explored lightly because of the stuff he's referenced or talked about, it's more about just like self-education, self-direction, really understanding that like you need to take control of your sense of self because there is like within society so many ideological lenses you'll be subjected to. The structure you're in is going to subject you to its machinations. Damn.
I'm the can, says Daniel Zamel. Yeah, I mean, falling in love or epiphany.
Yeah, Wizworld.
Or epiphany or knowledge or whatever. I think all these things are built up because the idea, again, I think this is like maybe one of the key things here, is the idea that like there is an end point, that like you eventually have a system that accounts for everything, or you have the intellectual grounding for whatever, or like you know the stuff you need to know, and then you are good to go.
You're
And-
set forever. You can just let your 401k collect.
Yeah, and that's a myth, right? That never happens. You are, as we were talking about a second ago with Deleuze, like you are always in a process of becoming. So if you're always in a process of becoming, there's no such thing as like the end point where you figure it all out. That just doesn't occur. It's not part of the process. And so the lust for that thing, while real, is obviously a denial of self and a denial of the world. And we hate that. We hate, beans. We hate the denial of the self, we hate the denial of the world. And that process of denial
You're a sad
is, you know, obviously self-effacing and harmful, but also intellectually limiting, because the idea is, well, to admit that means that you never actually get the final state of doneness. And if there's no final state of doneness, then what's the reward for doing the intellectual work to build anything? And if there's no reward, why do it? And then instead you get all these people who are, you know, trapped in, oh, you were doing really good, but you got swarmed by baby. Oh, you know what? That actually makes me think of some moves we could do that I haven't tried yet. Shut up. I know.
You're a sad, false shell of
And do good enough to get to the part to try my new ideas. But yeah, I think it's that infatuation with doneness that is a big part of it. And again, like, that is, you know, to go back to kind of what we were saying about
sad, false shell of
infantilization stuff, like,
I don't
yeah,
understand.
that one I didn't get. Maybe you'd already killed them with the first one you threw out, and then the second two didn't hit anyone.
You're a sad, false.
How are you doing that spinning combo? Is that the block and square wall on the
L2,
ground?
yeah, L2 and square.
Okay.
But yeah, like, that obsession with doneness is, you know, it holds people into a place because they want to assume that they have done it, that they have made it to, that sucks, there's just no one there. I should have just used circle. That they've made it to the place they're going, that there is like a destination. And they hate the idea that there's not. And then infantilization stuff makes it so that people don't have to feel like they need to live those challenges, right? This is a very Nietzsche-y thing, that the idea of being alive and the value of being alive comes from the process of being challenged. And that if you're not being challenged, you're living like a less than complete life. It's a very Nietzsche-y thing, but like, that's, you know, another way to look at this, that people are choosing this sort of incomplete denial of life over a fuller, realer, more significant life because BRB whiz, because they're choosing to live this, you know, it's just more comfortable to do the alternative, to not be challenged and to not suffer the indignities of possible failure or of incorrectness or whatever.
Yeah. The not being why be it's interesting. I'm thinking of like challenge, because challenge, you know, in a negative sense, like I don't want to do the labor, or it's going to hurt, or it's going to scare me. I wonder where people get their sense of like what's hard versus what's not from. And I mean, this kind of comes around to video games too. If you think a video game's hard, you think it's worth, you know, in thinking a video game is like a meritocratic like seal of skill, like you're thinking it has a certain difficulty, you're assigning a labor value to it. Yeah, comfort often meaning like actively pleasurable.
Yeah, I mean, in in this context, it's like,
You're a sad, false shell of
in this context, it's just like anything to make shit easier, right? Like, oh, that's a cool move.
Yeah, but
It didn't work, but it was cool. It was
yeah.
a cool fucking move. I love to zorp in a bunch of dead zombie guys to be my weird friends. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's the easiest way to access pleasure, right? It's like, here's this infantilized project, here's this robot that ties your shoes for you and gives you, and you know, here's your fucking AI goth girlfriend who lives in your phone and tells you you're very handsome and she loves having sex with you even though she's a fake object. Like, these are the things that, you know, people produce and they like. People like this stuff, and that's like, you know, fine, but I think the question of why they like it is relevant. And I think a big part of why they like it is like,
Yeah.
that it's simple, that there is no challenge involved in it.
You get the cute AI girlfriend telling you you're awesome. You get the video game telling you you are the Doomslayer whom all the hell demons fear.
Right, and then you get all that without actually having to be challenged or like engage in difficulty. And the society has like largely become about that particular deal, that proposition that you can, you know, you can both access the joy of success and the joy of overcoming or reward without the unfortunate hassle of doing stuff.